That one egg was 40 eggs?
That's a big fucking pile of garbage.
I'm the farting demon in this relationship.
I'd be an awesome rich person.
You're both just an embarrassment.
God, I'm awesome.
We're talking Tom Hanks and his vehicle.
Yeah, I had my finger in my mouth waiting for you to finish.
You gotta get 4 balls or something.
Dick piercing?
No, you know damn well I'm fucking that demon. It's still sexy.
How could that be close and not be
Yeah,
right?
I'll kill some random
If
dude.
you want cheese, you get a milk.
You're
tank.
waiting for
You
me.
fart in the bathtub.
No, I can hate on it. It sucked. Boners.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to another brand new episode of Plotty Time. This week, me, Poppascotch, and Sir Chump Slap.
That's me.
We're going to talk about a movie today based on a video game. We're going to talk about Need for Speed from 2014.
You all love it.
How excited are you, Sir Chump Slap? Because I know you have a lot of thoughts.
Oh my God. It really, oh man, I don't know. We should get into it right away.
Let's get into it. Let's start with the day it was released, March 14th, 2014. And the box office that week, I figure we'll roll through the top 10 real quick. Why not?
Oh yeah, what the fuck? Let's do it.
Number 10 that week was Frozen. I guess at its end of its theatrical run. It was a pretty big movie.
Right.
Number 9, The Monuments Men.
Oh, that one was all right.
I liked it. That was pretty good. John Goodman was in it. How bad could it be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then number 8, The Grand Budapest Hotel.
I like that one too.
I like that too. But after this, the movies get different. Let's say, for example, number 7, Son of God.
The fuck is that?
The life story of Jesus is told from his humble birth through his teachings, crucifixion, and ultimate resurrection.
The Bible, the movie.
I guess. Damn, this thing was released in 3,200 theaters. Every 5-10 years, you people out there, you'll see it too. But every 5-10 years, someone tries to hit again on that Passion of the Christ.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
they got it. They try to hit that again, and so you'll see these get real big releases for another shot. But
It usually works for a week or two.
it works for a week or two. It has an audience. They come out and see it, and after the first 3 weeks, it just goes away because everyone who wanted to see it saw it.
Yeah. They just prep it up for Easter time,
It's like you want to make one of those classic Christmas movies,
Yeah. Right.
So you keep getting that money every year. They're trying to do that, but with Easter, I guess.
Yeah. It's like everyone loves Jesus around Easter, right?
That's all I can think about.
Me too.
Number 6 that week, The Single Moms Club,
I don't know
which is
that
another
one.
one. When 5 struggling single moms put aside their differences to form a support group, they find inspiration and laughter in their new sisterhood and help each other overcome the obstacles that stand in their way. So, I don't know, I guess middle-aged women coming together, crushing it.
Yeah, like the Sisterhood of the
Building each other
Traveling
up.
Pants or whatever.
Yeah, good for them. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right.
Number 5, The Lego Movie.
Okay. Makes sense.
That was definitely towards the end of its run. It had already made $240 million.
Holy shit.
And then number 4, Nonstop. An air marshal springs into action during a transatlantic flight after receiving a series of text messages demanding $150 million to an offshore account where someone will die every 20 minutes.
Oh, is that with who's in that?
Liam Neeson's.
That's it. Yes, yes. I remember that movie.
I remember it, but I don't believe I've seen it.
It's not good.
Okay. Well, number 3, the movie we're talking about, debuting at number 3 that week, Need for Speed at $22.6 million.
Probably all it made too.
I should check that out.
It was
Number
a flop.
2 that week. Well, we're going to definitely talk about Need for Speed. Apparently, it's domestic, international. The worldwide gross was $203 million. I mean, that's not nothing.
That's nothing to sneeze at. Yeah.
Not at all. Wonder what the budget was. I'm sure it made its
66
money
million
back.
budget. Yeah. That's not bad.
Oh, yeah. Those, we'll get into it, but those cars that they destroyed that cost millions of dollars, guess what? They weren't the actual cars.
Oh, yeah, obviously. I'd hope not.
Yeah. And then number 2 that week, 300 Rise of an Empire. So the sequel to 300?
I never even saw that.
I don't think I did either.
Yeah, 300 was okay. Why watch a sequel? A prequel, really?
It got me at the time. When
Yeah.
300 came out, it got me at the time. But now as I look back, I'm like, I mean, it's visually beautiful.
Yeah,
But
that's what did it.
I seen it. I know the story. I have no desire to go back. And then number 1 that week, obviously beating out 300 Rise for an Empire, Need for Speed, Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Which I don't.
Know.
I didn't remember this film at all. We pieced it together that it was the Peabody is the guy from Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah, the smart dog who teaches the kid about everything.
Something like that. And the kid's like the dumb foil. Like the
Yeah.
dumb one, you know what I mean?
They make fun of it in Family Guy and shit all the time.
This is another thing. It's just like those Christian movies they try to bring back. Every once in a while, someone keeps trying to bring back Rocky and Bullwinkle. I don't think kids, when we were kids, no one knew what that was.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not worth it.
When I just knew it because my dad was a fan when he was a kid. I'm like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah. Didn't they try to bring back Wacky Racers on Saturday morning cartoons too? But that
I
failed.
don't even know what that is.
You don't remember that?
No, what's Wacky Race?
Hanna-Barbera, they had all those, like everyone from the cartoons of Hanna-Barbera would come together and race.
Like on a track? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like a race cars, planes, whatever.
Those are called Race Wars?
Wacky Racers, I think. I think it was like a 70s thing, but I caught it on reruns.
Oh, so they have the characters in that. It's kind of like a, I don't know, like, I don't want to say a cameo show.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but like...
It's like the Avengers.
Yeah, right. You take all the fucking cartoons, you put them in one thing and be like, oh, kids will love this on Saturday morning. Yeah.
Got it. Interesting. Man, I never saw it. But the 68 it came out? Wow. All right.
Oh, okay.
We have a lot to talk about for Need for Speed
Yeah,
in 2014. Directed by Scott Waugh, W-A-U-G-H. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Before this film, the most notable film he did was a movie called Act of Valor, which was a pretty well-received military-style movie.
Okay. Yeah, those are always decently well received.
I mean, as long as they look all right, everyone's like,
Yeah, and they're serious.
Yeah.
And they're all
You can't
praising the army or whatever.
Yeah, no propaganda type stuff.
Yeah.
But this movie, Need for Speed, it's a car movie. It's based off a video game. I didn't see, like, I saw a couple nods to the video games.
Yeah, there's definitely like a couple scenes that you're like, oh, that's taken straight from the video game.
Yeah, because obviously for the game, the tracks, the arenas, whatever they use is based on real life
Yeah.
courses or streets or whatever. So it makes sense that they'd go to those locations in the movie. I mean, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, but there's the one scene where they're just like all lined up in the beginning of the race, and you just get like in the cockpit view. That seemed like straight out of the video game. Like,
yeah, when the main character, and we'll get into the cast here while we walk in. Aaron Paul, famous from being Jesse in Breaking Bad,
dude, great fucking cast, man. I'll just say
yeah,
that.
the cast is fantastic. He played Toby, our main character. His foil, a guy that's supposed to be from the same small town in upstate New York. Well, it's not exactly upstate New York. It's like north of Manhattan.
Is that where it is?
Yeah, because I looked it up. The town actually does exist. The town's called Mount Kisco, New York, which is where we'll start. But Toby and Dino are both from Mount Kisco, apparently a famous racing town. Right. I thought all those famous racing towns were in the South because that's where it all started, but what do I know? So Dino is played by Dominic Cooper, who I believe was in 300. He might have been.
I've seen him before. He's like one of those faces. You're like, I know this guy from something, but
He, I do have one piece of trivia where both Aaron Paul and Dominic Cooper both played characters for AMC TV shows named Jesse.
oh,
Aaron
nice.
Paul was Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad, and Dominic Cooper was Jesse in Preacher.
Oh, that's where I see. Yes, that's where I know him from. Okay.
And he was fantastic in that.
Yeah, he was.
Julia is played by, I believe, Imogen Poots? Is that how he?
I don't know if it's Emogen or Emogen.
It could be Imogen.
Yeah, I don't know.
No disrespect.
No, she's great.
I know she listens, obviously. She was fantastic in Green Room.
Oh yeah.
Like she's great whenever she pops up.
Wasn't she in that Vivarium?
Yes, she was. She was Jesse Eisenberg's
Yeah.
wife,
Girlfriend, something like that.
What?
Whatever. Significant other.
Experiment partner. I was very confused about what happened in that movie. Young Pete is played by a guy by the name of Harrison Gilbertson, who didn't have many credits to his name. He was very young at the time, but he's since gone on to do some pretty good roles. He was in Oppenheimer. He had a role in there. So
yeah.
he's out here. Monarch is played by the one, the only Michael Keaton, who
Nails it.
I mean, he's great. He's electric when he's on screen. I love him. I've always loved him. If he was one of those actors, not saying he would ever get canceled, but if he did, that would hurt. That would really hurt. But he's fantastic in this. And I believe, and I could be wrong, but there was like 20 years where Michael Keaton just kind of didn't act, right? Like,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he took a lot of time off, like after Multiplicity.
yeah, like in the 80s and you know, Batman, he was the biggest name there was. And then he took a huge break. And then when he came back, like he came back pretty hard.
Yeah, like Birdman. I remember that being like one of his big comebacks.
Like there was, if you look at his work here, oh my God, this guy's apparently he's been working the whole time, but he's been doing like made for TV movies from like 2003 till 2014. He had this, and then 2014 was also Birdman.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Well, that's when he re-entered the stratosphere.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like after Jack Frost. boss. And
Yeah. Well, he also got critical acclaim in the movie The Founder, the one about McDonald's.
oh, right. Yeah, I didn't like that movie, but he was still great in it.
He's always.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then Benny is played by Kid Cudi.
Nice, Cuddy.
Finn is Rami Malek's in this, Oscar winner.
Yeah.
Rami Malek. I thought he was better in this than he was in the movie he won an Oscar for.
What do you win an Oscar for?
That Queen movie.
Oh, yeah. I still haven't seen that movie. I don't think I will.
I don't think it was very good.
Yeah, I don't need to. Queen happened during my lifetime. I don't need to fucking watch a movie about it.
And then Anita, who is Dino's fiance / Toby's old flame / Pete's sister. Small town. Coming from a small town, I buy this.
Yeah,
I didn't even question
exactly.
that they all knew each other and were this tightly intertwined. I was like, yep, of course.
Makes sense.
And then Joe Peck, he is played by, I don't have his name in front of me, Ramon something.
Oh, yeah. He was good in this, too. I don't know him from anything else. Ramon Rodriguez.
Ramon Rodriguez, there it is. He was in something that was real big. He's done a lot of TV. Oh, that's where I saw him from. He was in Iron Fist.
He was in The Wire.
Ooh, and Battle of Los Angeles. That was a fun movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so let's move on. The movie, this is a car movie. Like, if you're into car movies, this is for you. I'm not a car guy myself. I don't believe you are, Chump Slap.
No, not really.
But it seems like there's two kinds of car guys. And I'm looking at it from the outside. There's the kind that want to work on cars and be mechanics.
Right.
And then there's car guys who are just into, like, sports cars. Like Lambos.
Yeah, but
and are
then
just
there's
fans of brands.
There's people like Jay Leno who just have the money to buy whatever cars they want. I don't know if they work on cars or if they know anything about them.
Yeah, it seems like there's more like a hands-on type and a hands-off, and like they can intersperse. Like you could be both,
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
But it seems like there's definitely like this is more for the fans that are into like supercars.
Yeah, because they don't really. Oh, we'll get into it.
I'm gonna say the word Koenigsegg so many times.
Oh, dude, I wrote it like 12 times. I'm like, gotta remember it every time they say that. Show it.
I know I've seen that brand. Most of these brands I've seen and recognize are from like Gran Turismo too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't keep up with supercars. I don't know what any of these are.
Or from Need for Speed, really.
Right. And basically what I do want to stress is a lot of the cars that were used in this movie that are like multi-million-dollar vehicles, like 3 were ever made type vehicles.
Right.
And I guess the way that these people see them, and I respect it, but it's more of like a limited edition piece of art.
Exactly.
That also happens to go 300 miles an hour.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to drive it.
No, they're not. On public roads that God knows how well they're maintained. We'll get into this. I have a lot of questions about this universe. I need to talk out with you. But,
right.
Most of all the cars used, except for I think like the ones that were not used in stunts, were kit cars. They were made for like a couple $100,000 and they look like it. They're not the actual ones. So there's so many like this is wrong about this car because this flap is supposed to come out at 60 miles and I'm not doing it. We're not getting into it.
No, there's no need for that. We all know they're not fucking. The budget was only $66 million. They're not spending half of that on cars.
Exactly. That would be insane.
But I do like that. I think it's all practical effects.
Yeah, they said hardly any visual effects.
Yeah, that's wild.
The body shell, the other stat I had, the body shell for the Koenigsegg's, which are $4.6 million supercars, just the shell to make it look like one convincingly on screen cost them $300,000 to make.
Dude, yeah, I believe it because that's a very specific thing to do. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, and how many people like do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
You have to hire a team. Can you guys pull this off? I don't know, probably.
It's going to cost you, but yeah, we can do it.
And then the other piece of franchise I have before we get started, the other piece of trivia I have about this franchise, the title, Need for Speed, they have said, the creators have been on record, it was from Top Gun, where the line was, I feel the need for speed. And then they also allude to this when Kid Cudi wants his call sign to be Maverick. So it's 2 little nods to Top Gun.
Liar one.
Now, we start our movie, Mount Kisco, New York. We get a background from the narrator. It's Monarch, but he's also using the voice of the narrator to start us off here.
Yeah, he's like a streamer or something.
I don't know.
Like nobody knows who he is, but he puts his face on his streams and shit.
There's like there's lore here of what his backstory is.
Mm-hmm.
And who's this? You know what? We'll get into it. We'll get into it more. But he gives us some backstory about Toby and how he was this amazing racer as a kid, like generational type talent. And he's like, I wonder what he's up to. Maybe I should invite him to the De Leon. We don't exactly know what the De Leon is, but to get it out of the way now, the De Leon is a invite-only race that is put on by this guy named Monarch. I am pretty sure, you could correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think there's a $5 million cash prize and you get to keep the cars.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was 5 million or you just get to keep the cars, but
I wasn't sure either, but I think they said that you're racing for the 5 million and well, whatever. Either way, even if you get to own all the cars, these are $4, $5, $6 million vehicles that you're now in possession of. And the name of the race, the De Leon, it was named after a guy, Victor De Leon III, who is the Guinness Book World Records holder as being the youngest ever professional gamer.
Oh.
So it's a reference to Need for Speed's origin as a video game.
Okay.
He is actually, as another piece of trivia, Victor De Leon III is not known for playing Need for Speed. It's just a shout out.
That's fair.
Now everyone heads to this drive-in where the movie Bullet is playing. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Chump Slap. It is a famous Steve McQueen movie. I recognized it from 2 seconds on screen. I'm a big fan. Actually, fun piece of trivia. The first movie ever to be shot entirely on location.
What was it?
First major studio film ever to be shot entirely on location.
What was it called?
Bullet. Bullet, I believe?
No.
Or do they spell it differently? Might be IT.
Never
Either way, it's famous for this massive car chase through the streets of San Francisco with all the hills. And it's fantastic. Now, but they actually go, like, as a nod to that movie later when they're in San Francisco, they go to the street from the clip they just showed, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
But anyway, everyone in we're setting up this nostalgic driven world where everyone loves cars. It's like American graffiti in this town. Like, people are rolling up to the drive-in with their fancy cars. People are just sitting on them, talking to each other.
Yeah,
it's more of a social car culture thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then young Pete comes up to Toby. He's like, hey, I had a vision. And some of the group's like, come on. And the other one's like, no, come on. What is it? He's like, I see you at a lighthouse. You're going to win the De Leon.
What?
And everyone's like, okay, Pete is just such an infectiously nice guy.
Yeah.
That, like, I'm like, okay, you crazy kid. Of course you got a vision. You know, like, I'm not even mad about it.
He's the younger brother to fucking Toby's ex-girlfriend, which is how he probably got into this crew. And everyone's just like, oh, dude, I love this guy. He's great.
Yeah. He seems like they have to have a reason, which I guess to have this guy who's so much younger than them hang out with the group. And he's also a racer. He likes doing that. And he's actually in our first race. His sister Anita then shows up with Dino. And Dino's from the town. It's not weird that he shows up at this drive-in. Plus, Anita's obviously from the town as well. So, you know, they show up and they have this brief interaction where Aaron Paul tells Anita, like, you should have just stayed in the city. Like, what are you guys doing here? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Making it look like there's history there. They're not really welcome. And then we kind of move on to the race.
Oh, yeah.
And Benny, a.k.a. Kid Cudi, is flying around in his plane doing aerial recon for the race.
That's pretty good. I like that.
I think that's fun. I think that's a fun way to add a different perspective to this movie. I think it's nuts that you do it the whole movie with Benny, but you don't do it with anyone for the De Leon. Like, these guys street racing in Mount Kisco were safer about their illegal, insane street racing than the multi-million-dollar race.
That's true. But I don't think anyone knows the De Leon's path until the day it happens. So I don't know. Maybe they couldn't do it. I don't know.
How did they know? You know what? We're going to get to it.
Yeah.
And so these people are in locations all over the city for the race, like radioing, like it's clear. I assume this is in the middle of the night sometime. They're trying to make this street race like plausible in our world.
Right.
Like they feel like, or the filmmakers or whatever perspective they're trying to give us, they're trying to tell us that we're doing it as safely as possible and hurting people is wrong. But
okay,
they're still dangerously flying through towns in an unsanctioned street race. Like, this is fucking dangerous to them and to the people on the street and to other drivers.
Yeah, not to mention they start the race by fucking trying to beat a train to the train crossing.
Oh, yeah, it's just how they start the race. This town is pretty hardcore.
It really
while they're racing. So then the race is on. It's, we don't need to really go into it. It's a fun sequence. It's a race through the streets. Toby wins. He gets $5,000. Pete was also in it. Like I said, he was in the race. He got third. So Pete's no slouch, with a car. He's just not as good as Toby.
Did they pay to get into this? Like there were 5 cars. I assumed the winner won $5,000. Did they all pay $1,000? So Pete just forfeited his $1,000 so Toby could win.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Did he just want to hand his money directly to Toby next time?
Like seriously,
like save himself some trouble?
Because he helped him win.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, you're right. Or maybe it was like the way they see it is they're kind of racing as a team.
Oh, maybe because it all goes back to their pool or whatever.
Yeah, like you could put up 1,000 and possibly win 5. If you put up 2,000, you have 2 shots at winning the extra 3, I guess. Not a terrible idea.
No, that's pretty good actually. Yeah,
but they didn't mention any of that. But you're right. No one addressed that. But that is a question.
Surprised there are only 5 people in that race too. There's a lot of people in this town.
Yeah, a lot of people are really into. A lot of spectators.
Yeah, right.
Who are all keeping their mouth shut about it. I guess they're not looking for these race. A lot of confusing questions about this universe. But we're back at the shop now, and then fucking of all people, you know who rolls in? Fucking Dino.
What the fuck's he want? I'm pretty sure you tell him to get lost, man.
Yeah, they tell him to get lost. There's a lot of history here, obviously. They're setting this up. It goes deep. It goes back. And Dino's like, look, I know whatever. We're adults now. I have a business proposition for you.
What would that be? You don't want me to build a fucking half-built Mustang that Shelby was building when his wife died.
Yeah, I don't know how he got this car, but apparently Dino has a classic Mustang that Carroll Shelby was working on before he died. And Chump Slap, do you only know who that is because of the movie Gone in 60 Seconds? Because that's how I know.
I only know about the Shelby Mustang. I don't know. I didn't know who this guy. I thought Carol was the name of the guy's wife or something.
No, I knew it was the final boss in the movie Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage, which, man, I haven't seen that in a while. I bet it rules.
Yeah, that was the one, Eleanor, right?
Yeah, Eleanor. So that's why I know what it was. And then someone had told me oh, that was from a designer named Shelby. So I put it together. But the idea is he wants them to restore this classic Mustang. And he says, I will give you a quarter of it if you do it all up front. Probably thousands of dollars went into restoring this thing. Potentially they can make up to $500,000. So Toby's like, all right. And everyone's like, what are you doing? Why would you work with him? He's a prick. He's probably not going to pay.
It's he sucks,
and
man.
Toby,
what are you doing?
Yeah. And Toby's like, you know what? This place is going under. That guy from earlier in the movie I didn't mention, he's from the bank. They're going to close it down. We don't have the money. We just run $3,000. It's like, yeah, what about next month? Let's get some fucking breathing room here.
Yeah, makes sense.
And they're like, look, if you don't show up for the fix this car tomorrow morning, that's it for the shop. We're done. So we kind of have to do this. That's the vibe you get, that they have to do this.
Yep.
So they get the car. We jump forward in time a bit.
I just want to say right there,
party.
They didn't show any cut scene, fucking anything of them fixing the car. It's just the car shows up, they're selling it.
I don't even think they showed the whole car when it showed up, didn't they?
Yeah, they just showed
it was just a part of the engine?
Yeah, they just showed the engine and they're like, oh, there's a lot to do here.
And then they rebuilt it, but not a car guy. I don't know what makes a car fancy and rare other than, a limited number of making them. But I mean, the car they restored looks like a new at the time Mustang.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like the classic car from I guess it would have been the 60s. Or 70s.
Yeah.
So I was very confused about why it looks like a modern day Mustang.
I wondered if at this time a Shelby anniversary Mustang came out and they just used that.
Oh, I bet it did. I think I vaguely remember having a Shelby reissue.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it a while ago.
A limited edition. I'm not going to look it up but I think you're right. I'm going to say you're right. You're absolutely correct. So we get to the unveiling of this brand new Mustang. Rami Malek is there striking out all over the place, trying to use his cred. Hey, we built that. And, it's not working. It's not.
It's a whole bunch of rich people. And he's like, yeah, I'm a mechanic.
Yeah. It's not his crowd. He's like, I built that. And the one lady goes, so you're a mechanic? He's like, yeah. And she just walks away.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But as we move on here, we meet Imogen Poots' character, Julia. She shows up. She plays kind of dumb to Toby and Pete, kind of letting them look like morons eventually. But Toby picks it up faster than Pete, but she tells him all about the engine. She proves she's Nate, so car dummy, Dino walks up and there's a relationship there. He knows Julia. I assume Dino runs a very successful, very high-end dealership.
Right. And he was a F1 racer or IndyCar racer or something.
Yeah. That's part of his lore. He did F1 for a while.
Right.
Which, why would a person this wealthy want to risk everything? We'll get into it. We'll get into how dumb this universe is. It's so dumb. But, you know, Dino and her negotiate around the price, and there's some dick measuring, and Julia's like, how fast can it go? Dino's like 180, and Toby's like, no, it can go 230. And they're like, then that would be the fastest car ever. They're like, you goddamn right it is. It can go 230. And she's like, you show up to the testing track in the morning. If I see it go 230, I'll buy it right there. So they go the next morning to the testing track, and it goes like 234. It crushes.
Right.
Which is fucking nuts, dude.
That is wild.
That is, I think those testing tracks, I don't think you're supposed to go that fast. Like, they have curves and stuff because you're testing things.
Yeah, but they have long straightaways to.
There's probably got to be a
There has to be a max straightaway somewhere.
But anyway, Dino fucking shows up late. He's like, what did you do? Why'd you take it? And he's like, I was doing the 230 like I said I would, you know. We went over this. And then Julia, they buy it on the spot for 2.7 mil, and Dino's just like mad because it wasn't handled his way he wanted to do. And Pete's like pushing his buttons
Pete's
at the same time. Toby's also kind of kicking him. At this point, I would have been like, you know what, Dino? So sorry, but we got there. We sold the car. You give me my check. We never have to talk again.
Yeah, exactly. But no,
they don't. They push his buttons. So Dino says, you know what? Let's race.
What?
And like the car's gone. Like, no. Other cars. And this is the deal. Toby, if you win, then you'll get 75% of the Mustang.
No,
deal.
you'll get the whole 100%.
Well, I thought, wait, Toby wins, they get 75%. If they lose, they get nothing. They get the 100%?
I think he said, I'll put my 75% up, and if you lose,
Oh,
I'll take
I thought they were switching sides. Okay, there you go. All the Mustang money is on the line, and Toby knows he's a better racer. He can't say no.
Yeah, how do you say no to that?
He's like, all right, this could set me up for fucking a long ass time. So let's do it. So they go to Dino's uncle's house, and they find 3 red Koenigseggs. No, sorry, 1 red Koenigsegg.
Right, one white,
and then a white one and another one.
a gray one.
And these 3 cars, apparently they're not registered in the United States. They're illegal to drive on the streets. It is not okay. I guess you could own these, but you can't own them tuned to 270. They can go 270 miles an hour.
I think
That's
you can
insane.
own them. You just can't have them on any roads.
Yeah, that
Like
would
you
make
can take
sense.
them to a track.
There's got to be
something.
limits.
Yeah.
So Pete's like, I want to race. I want to get in on this. There's 3 cars. There's 3 of us. Come on, let's do this. And Toby's like, I don't think this is a good idea. But Pete talks him into it, so they all race, and it's super fucking dangerous because it's like the middle of the day. They're going like wrong ways down highways. They're like, this is street racing.
Seriously.
Middle of the day. They pass a guy going 65 like he was parked.
Right. Then this is another part where it's like part of the game where you like hit your boost or whatever, and then the camera like zooms out from your car, and you're just, I don't know, there's like a weird scene here that's like, oh, that's from the fucking game.
Yeah, Toby does this thing with his character, which is like the music fades out, you can hear his breathing, and he kind of like locks in.
Right.
And it's like this zooming area, and I think that's like the boost or the
in the zone
the
or
boost,
whatever they
power
call
up.
it.
Yeah. So as we start this race, they're causing all kinds of accidents. And towards the end, Pete is in second place. He's blocking out Dino, who's in third, and Toby's like clearly going to win this. He just has to get to the other end of the bridge. Fucking game over. But something happens. Dino intentionally rams Pete, causing him to go fucking airborne, on fire, fly off the bridge, smash into the ground. There is no way Pete's alive here.
It's just when I was watching, I was like, oh, I hope they cut to in the cockpit view. And I was like, oh, there it is.
They did that very early of him, like the cockpit view. You've all seen it a million times where it's like slow motion in the car as it flips around.
Wow.
Yeah, that nothing new in this movie. Really, and I was thinking about this, and there are things I like about this movie, but when I really thought more and came around to it, everything I liked about this movie was how charming the cast was.
Yeah.
Nothing else really made sense. The cast was so charming.
Yeah. This part, I'm like, okay, am I supposed to feel sympathy for these assholes who just caused, who knows, somebody back there could have fucking died from one of their accidents that they just caused.
That's why I am so confused about what's going on in this universe. Because this isn't, I don't know, I guess we're supposed to be in our world, right? Like our reality.
Yeah. I mean, they use a real town and shit, so why not?
Yeah, and they're using like cops or arresting people, and that's a thing. But everyone just street race, risking everything, causing accidents all over town, and no one gives a shit, like at all.
No.
But anyway, so Pete's fucking dead. During the race, Toby had it. He could have kept going, but he slams on his brake to go back for Pete. And we flash forward to Pete's funeral. So we're going to move forward in time here a bit.
Well, yeah, Dino just takes off, doesn't turn back, doesn't
you're
look
right.
around.
I completely forgot to mention the most important part of it. Dino just takes off. He doesn't come back for him. He just leaves in his red Koenigsegg.
Mm-hmm.
Koenigsegg.
R.
Thank you. But yeah, so he just bails. We're at Pete's funeral. Anita's there being consoled by Dino, and all of Toby's friends are there fucking staring fucking holes through Dino.
Yeah, because they all know the truth.
They all know the truth. They are not fans of Dino. He just killed their friend. No one can prove it because the next scene is Toby in jail telling the cops everything that happened. And as it turns out, Dino's uncle had called the police and said his 2 Koenigsegg's has been stolen. Everyone's like, wait,
only 2 of them.
2? And the cops are like, yeah, this red Koenigsegg you said Dino drove, his uncle never owned it. There's no proof of it. No one's seen it.
Yeah, they
You're
said
the
there's
only
been a
person.
few witnesses who said they might have seen 3 cars racing, but they have no proof because they can't find the car.
And I kind of believe that. It's kind of unbelievable because it's daytime and they're racing. But man, you're going 270 down a highway when everyone's going 60, and they're racing so close together. I don't know if I'd be able to tell. Like
you
in a
notice a
courtroom
red
setting.
one, though.
I would like to think I would.
Especially
but if they just flew past, I'd be like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, but fucking Thunderbird, this guy doing 60 that got passed by all of them, I'm sure he
Oh
would
my
have
God.
noticed it.
Yeah, they must. But how do you what if those people had no idea this accident ever even happened and they just kept driving and going along with their
Yeah, that's true. But
to whatever state they were driving through. But anyway, we're getting too lost.
this is
in the
before
weeds.
fucking dash cams are on every other car, too.
I know, right? You would have got him on a dash cam for sure.
Yeah.
Someone would have posted on Reddit, did you hear about this accident? Does anyone have dash cam? 20 minutes later, someone's on.
Yep.
So Pete dies. Toby's in jail. Dino just gets away with it.
No remorse at all.
No remorse whatsoever. We fast forward 2 years. This was his brother-in-law.
Yeah, right?
He just doesn't give a fuck, at all. And then we fast forward 2 years. There was some talk here. There was a little bit of trivia where when Dino was introducing the Koenigsegg's, he said that they're Eurospec. They're not even legal in the U.S., and if this were true and this was a thing that happened, it would make sense that the police would have no way of knowing that car belonged to Dino since it couldn't be registered in the U.S.
Yeah. Well, how do they know?
So it wouldn't be in their database.
How do they know the other 2 were stolen then?
That's because Dino's uncle did report them stolen.
But they don't have proof that he owned them.
That's a good question, too. You're right.
Right? If these are illegally owned.
The only way, maybe, because when you do a home insurance, you have to assess all your things.
Right.
And it's not illegal to own, but it could never be registered like we talked about. So
Yeah, but then
it's
they'd have to know
possible he
that there
could
are
take
3
it.
of them, though.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Of all the crazy shit in this universe, I'll believe this, that the police would have no way of knowing about the red one.
Fair.
And they only knew about the 2 white ones that were stolen.
And it's police. They can't be bought.
Yeah, they could just be shitty cops.
Yeah.
I totally believe
Right.
it. So 2 years later, the shop is completely closed. Toby is getting out of jail. He calls the guy that he sold the Mustang to, Julia's boss. And he's like, hey, is it cool if I borrow your Mustang for the De Leon? and the guy's like, fucking what, dude? And he's like, I'll give you half the cars. And this is also the guy who, he's Julia's, I guess, boss or part, whatever. But Julia saw him drive. She knows what he can do. She knows he can handle that car at 230. I guess the guy wanted these supercars, so he agrees. He says, all right, you can use the Mustang if you give me half the cars.
That's wild.
I know, it's insane.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's a $3 million vehicle.
It's like, all right, well, I'll do that, but I will fly you and the Mustang to California.
Yeah, dude. I'll give it to you for the race. You're not going to drive it across the fucking country.
Yeah, this isn't Cannonball Run, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah, drive it across the country when you're stirring up shit on purpose. We'll get to that too. All right. So the guy says yes. Benny and Toby, they get back to the shop. It's cleared out. Julia shows up with the Mustang, and they don't even at this point have an invite to the De Leon, this private race. They're just like, Toby's like, I'm going, and I'm going to drive the Mustang, and he's like, Monarch is going to want this car in the race.
Yeah.
That's his whole logic, is he will let me in as long as he sees this car's in the race.
Yeah, because when he was talking about him in the beginning of the movie, he says, I'd like to give him an invite if he only had a good car, because He only drives junk because he's poor or whatever, you know?
Yeah. And so Monarch does know about him. Like, he's aware. And if he has this classic car that had only been unveiled the year before, 2 years ago,
Yeah,
it would have been news. And he'd be like, fuck yeah, I want him in. That makes sense.
exactly.
And Julia's like, well, I'm protecting the investment, so I'm going to. We know that there is a meeting. We know the race is in California. Don't know where. And they know that there is a meeting the night before the race. So they are just going to get in a car, drive from this town, Mount Kisco, New York, to somewhere in California, and they have 45 hours to do it. So some nerd obviously did the math. So it seems like it'd be crazy, but if you just do like a Google image from Mount Kisco to San Francisco, which is where they end up going, it's 2,935 miles and would take you 43 hours. That is straight going the speed limit.
Oh, okay.
So
that explains why the truck can keep up with him.
Exactly. So it explains why the truck can always keep up with them, and it explains how they get there in any kind of normal time. But you got to also think that with their detours and stuff, they're taking longer, but the cars can go 230, so it makes up time where it needs to.
Right.
It's possible, so it's not crazy. But there's a sequence here where, like, immediately, where Benny's working with Toby, and Toby drives all crazy. He's trying to scare Julia, and she's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, I take offense to that. I'm an awesome driver, by the way. You're not going to scare me out, you prick." So there's some tension here in the very beginning.
Well, yeah, I take offense to that too. I'd be like, really?
Yeah, and there's another scene they just popped to real quick where Dino's like setting something up, some kind of deal. I didn't really get what it was, but Anita's here and she caught him kind of in a lie about his dealership.
Yeah, he's talking to a financier about, I guess his dealership's not doing so hot. So he's like, yeah, give me $5 million and I'll win the De Leon for you. Because he's already won it before.
Yeah, so he's got pedigree. He's won it before. He's gonna do it again, right? So guy's like, all right, fine, whatever. Anyway, next stop, we get to Detroit, where Joe calls Rami Malek, and he's like, go to the window. And Rami Malek is in, like, his name is Finn. I'll try to use Finn. But Finn's in this office, really, like, wearing a suit, boring corporate job. And he's like, I'm not. He's like, just go to the window. So he goes up, he looks out, and they're like, you need to look at the Mustang. It's leaning. You got to tell me how to fix, you got to get down here and fix it. He tells him the whole plan, whatever. And then there's this great moment where Finn is just like, I'm in. Like, I'm leaving this life behind. And he just starts leaving the floor, taking off all of his work clothes.
Yeah, he was an accountant or something.
I don't know what he was. Some boring corporate job. But he sexually harasses this woman on his way out, gives her a big smooch on the lips. He's like, I always wanted to do that. And then he pulls down his underwear, walks out the office completely naked. And you just hear someone in the background yell, call me. Like,
oh, nice.
Which I thought was pretty funny.
I like when he's in the elevator and he's talking to that lady. He's like, accountant just makes you want to fucking die sometimes. And she looks at his crotch and he's like, yeah, it's cold in here.
Yeah, that was fantastic. He's saying, doesn't he start with like, oh, I gotta quit right now because my friend's running the De Leon.
Yeah. She's like, what?
And she's like, I'm in accounting. And then he just responds with the most real thing I've ever heard. Do you ever feel like you're dead inside? Oh. And there's just a pause and she goes, yes.
So good.
It's fantastic. It was a good little moment. It was great. But now Finn's in, and even Joe's like, dude, why are you naked? Because he meets him in the lobby. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you naked? And he goes, so I can never come back.
I like that. I like that excuse.
That is commitment on a level I'm not ready to understand.
I'm burning this fucking bridge.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have to do this now.
Yeah, now I'm in so hard right now. Oh, Jesus. So then they pick up Finn. Finn's in. He's part of the group. He's back. And then Benny from the air escorts them out of Detroit after doing another police chase. They said they had to like stir up the cops, piss them off, do this police chase, not just so Finn could diagnose the issue, but so that they can make like a highlight reel to send to Monarch.
Oh my God, this fucking, what do they call it? 2-lane grasshopper.
Oh yeah, they called it the grasshopper, where this 2,500 pound car, 4,000 pound, I have no idea how much they weigh.
Yeah, I mean,
over a ton. Car does like a 60-foot jump and lands softly and is not damaged at all.
No.
They just drive it away.
No, yeah. And that's when I looked it up. I was like, are these practical effects? Was this part practical or not? I don't know. I couldn't find the answer to that.
I bet the jump was practical, and then I bet they switched angles and did a landing from like 5 feet up
Oh, yeah.
and then showed it. But it was, I mean, it could have been practical, but you're totaling a car. Like, there's no way you're driving away from that.
No, yeah, exactly.
So I also thought it was a funny moment because Finn calls Maverick Nimrod, and Maverick's like, what do you mean? And apparently it's a Hebrew word for hunter, but is often mistakenly assumed to mean dummy because cartoon hero Bugs Bunny often applied the term to Elmer Fudd, who is both a hunter and a dummy.
Oh, that's fucking damn interesting.
I didn't know that. I thought that was fascinating.
No, and that's cool that he's flying around a news chopper here just to get the good video of the jump and shit to send to fucking Monarch.
Yeah, I did read in the trivia that all these helicopters that they used for these aerial shots were the same. Like, they just put cameras on the same helicopters and just digitally took them out. That was part of their visual effects.
Oh.
So it was a way of like maximizing the budget.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was pretty fun though. I like it.
Yeah, the chase was fun. They send it to Monarch. Monarch is now aware that Toby's around and he's got this car. But the drawback is the cops are looking for Toby now because he just jumped parole or probation.
Yeah.
Or is it parole? What's the difference?
Parole, you were in jail. So yeah.
So parole.
Yeah.
And Monarch has Dino on his show via phone, which is also crazy. So, all right, let's get into Monarch. He has like a show. Like, I guess you could say sort of like a call-in type
It's just
podcast situation.
Yeah, it's like a streaming, some type of Twitch
like
show or something, you know?
Before Twitch existed,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And, but I don't understand. First of all, this race is like this huge secret being run by a guy who no one knows his backstory. So I got to assume like this is all illegal.
Yeah.
Right.
They assume he's just some rich guy who loves cars.
Yeah. And like this universe doesn't make sense. Like, who is he broadcasting to? Who is his audience? Because he's playing this off like it's a show.
Well, they all know about it. Everyone from the crew, everyone's like, oh, let's check it out. Check it out. It's coming up. It's like,
but how do like the cops not know about this?
Yeah, because they can easily just sign on.
Right? I'm confused about the universe in this way. First of all, what kind of person? I mean, I'm sure they exist, but there can't be enough to do a fucking De Leon every year. But what kind of person spends or has $4 million to spend on a car, spends $4 million on a car, and then gets in a potentially dangerous race where they could be destroyed?
Yeah, that's the part that blew my mind.
And you could go to jail and die. Like the risk reward scenario. That like it does. This universe doesn't make any sense. Yeah, because
let's just say it right now. None of them have any racing harnesses or helmets or anything.
No, absolutely not.
Like, surprised they put their seatbelts on.
And here's the thing, like, okay, spoiler for later in this episode, but they have the De Leon and everyone else crashes and destroys their car. So what do I get? Fucking 6 car shells that are burnt out?
That's what I was going to say.
Doing?
It's like, did this happen before? Did they all?
Or every year is it just so much nicer? You know, there's not this Toby Dino grudge causing accidents left and right.
I was wondering that too.
Yeah, it's so confusing. We'll get into it a little bit more. Yeah. But so Dino's on the show. He says that he will give up one of his extremely rare cars that he has at his dealership if someone stops Toby from getting to the De Leon.
Put a bounty on his head.
Which is fucking nuts. Like, first of all, I gotta assume that's illegal.
But he's just telling you he can't make it to the race. He's not telling people to kill him. You know what I mean?
I know, but he's just broadcasting it out.
Yeah, the fact that Monarch thinks it's awesome, that he lost points for me right there.
Oh yeah, he's big time. He is into this.
He's like, oh, the race before the race.
It's sexual, right?
It has to be.
Like, for him. It has to be. I think there could be an argument for all of this car stuff is a little sexual, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, we'll keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So Julia calls Monarch. She calls into this show, by the way, in the middle of Dino's.
All right, hold on. She gets in right away.
Like right away. There's no screening. She just has his number, I guess.
Nobody's calling. Like, he's just like, oh, shit.
And she's like, that's bullshit. Dino's full of shit. Why would Toby, be risking his whole life just to prove his innocence if it wasn't real? And Monarch's like, this is fucking great. Toby, you're in the De Leon. I need this drama in my De Leon.
Yeah, that phone call gets him in. Not the footage of him jumping away from cops over fucking.
I know, exactly. Just the drama. The drama is what gets him in.
Yeah.
So Anita is at the dealership after this call happens. She starts messing around the computer. And she finds this storage unit off the books that houses the red Koenigsegg. So now Anita's like, wait a minute. Oh, shit.
Not once did she think to look for this before.
No, just right now. This is 2 years later. She finally had some doubt.
Her brother died.
Yeah, and they still have like at least a nice enough relationship.
And it just so happened to be Dino's uncle. They stole the cars from. They'd never stolen a car before in their life.
And she never thought for a second, like, wait a minute, this does sound fishy.
Yeah.
Like, never really.
That blows my fucking mind.
But anyway, there's this next scene we can go through really quick. But there's a scene where Julia almost gets arrested at a gas station, but she runs upstairs, she jumps out the window, Aaron Paul catches her. I think it was for them to have more of a bonding moment, so we buy their romance later, but we don't need to. Whatever.
Yeah, they're romantic after fucking one day. Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, I understand a trauma bond situation, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
but this still sounds like too much.
They kind of had like a spark when they first met when they were selling the car too, though. So I could see it going.
It's true. You buy it? You buy the...
I don't buy it, but it could happen. I mean, does it last? Okay. Who knows? We'll see.
None of the trauma bond relationships do. I hope that ruins every movie for everybody. See a sequence like this. But anyway, so then we go into the desert where some guys are trying to stop them. They're trying. I think they were hired by Dino.
Yeah, this just so happens to be when what's his name? Jesse Pinkman tells Julia
Toby.
that she can drive. Like, oh, you could take over now.
And as soon as she takes over, they get attacked by two dudes in a huge Jeep. With some trivia, Alan Fluger, who plays the flying Hawaiian guy, he owns the largest Honda dealership on Oahu in Hawaii. So the largest dealership in the state. The other guy, the right seater, Brian Kiolana. I'm sorry if I got these names wrong.
Yeah, I have no idea.
He's the guy that shoots at Toby.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
He is a legendary Hawaiian lifeguard and surfer. So a nice little cameo.
Nice.
But Benny, okay, so they're racing through the desert. Crazy sequence. They're getting shot at. These people are trying to disable this vehicle. And Benny shows up in a military Chinook with a army crew on it. And before they can drive off the cliff, they tie a cable between the windows of the car and fly off a cliff. And the Chinook drives away with them just dangling.
I could not do that. I don't care how safe it was.
There is no way any car could hold that weight.
No.
Like, it's not a thing. Like, maybe if you built a car with like a steel roll cage.
I was going to say,
like,
maybe they put a roll cage in it because they did build it.
That's a good point.
But I doubt they put a roll cage in it.
Yeah, I didn't see one.
No.
I don't know.
Because then they would have put like racing seats and fucking straps and everything in it.
It's just, well, the trivia I read, no car is built in such a way that a chain being run through the windows would support the weight of the entire vehicle. In this scene, the likeliest outcome would be that the chain ripped straight through the roof as the car drove off the cliff, or the best case would be that the metal of the roof like sliced and folded, and that would possibly reinforce it enough where it could support the car. But either way, they're wrecking this car. They're destroying the car.
Yeah.
But no, not in this movie. They go ahead and just land, and you know.
Well, they had to prove that Benny had access to military helicopters, because the whole time they're calling him Liar One because he said he flew an Apache once, and they're like, no, you didn't. Whatever. And then he's like, I'm not going to help you unless you say you flew an Apache.
Yeah, they were busting his balls the whole movie. But in this sequence, we presumably, Benny gets arrested here.
Yeah.
And everyone knows it. And Benny's like, I'm going to go away for a while, guys, but I'll be back. I always come back. It was kind of sad.
But then I dug it. He really took one for the team. At least 6 months in there.
They finally get to San Francisco. They arrive at the hotel where they're supposed to meet. They're late by like 25 minutes or something like that.
But they do get there in time.
And he, I guess, blows off the whole meeting because he walks right in there, sees Dino. They have a very tense conversation where Toby basically says, hey, why didn't you come back for him? Like, why did you just drive off? Why did you come back? And he's like, I was never even there. I don't know what you're talking about. And then Toby's like, well, I'm not coming back for you.
Yeah,
and
when
then
you're hanging upside down. He had more self-control than I would have had. I would have headbutt fucking Dino
Probably.
right there.
Yeah, I don't know what I would have done, but it wouldn't have been talking and walking away. I'll tell you that.
No.
But it also doesn't make sense because when they were in Mount Kisco, it was light outside. And she said they have 45 hours to make it to California. So wouldn't it also be day when they showed up? But why is it in the middle of the night when they show up in San Francisco?
That's a good question. It could have been right. Wait, how does it go? San Francisco's behind us in town?
Yeah, they're 3 hours behind us. Well, behind the East Coast.
It could have been 5 a.m. when she showed up.
But if she showed up at 5, that would mean she shows up. Oh, maybe. I don't know.
I don't think. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Well, no, it works. If she showed up at 5 in the morning and the sun was out for some reason, let's say 6. That's when we know the sun would be out. 6 a.m. The sun's out. 45 hours would mean she shows up at 3 a.m. local time,
and then
minus the time change, so it'd be like 12:30 a.m.
Yeah,
so it'd be
that could work.
Maybe. And anyway, so this nice brief moment where it seems like Toby and Julia are kind of hitting it off, and they decide to go to a hotel. She's like, "You smell like shit because you've been up for 2 fucking straight days." And then as they're having this nice moment, finally able to relax for the first time, they get T-boned by a truck and are now upside down. The car is totally destroyed. Julia's like, "Hey, just go, just get out. Go." And we have this brief moment where he gets up and he leaves, and we think like, oh shit, he left her. He actually did it. And then the driver's side or the passenger side door opens. He pulls her out.
He's not gonna leave her.
No, he couldn't. And then he gets the crew to show up.
Joe and
they
Finn
throw her in the truck, head to the hospital before the cops come, and Finn stays behind with Julia at the hospital. They have to leave. Then beautiful San Francisco middle of the night shot right by the wharf, which I've been there. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. It does look nice.
And right where Anita meets Toby, and Toby, like, first thing out of his fucking mouth, he's like, "Why didn't you just leave him?" And she goes, "I just did."
Yeah, who calls who here? He calls Anita?
That's a great question. I don't know. I guess he does, because he's the one that needs a car.
Yeah, and he's like, "Do you know where this Koenig is?" Which,
coincidentally, remember, she looked at the computer, she found it.
Yeah, just so happened to know where it is. And
exactly where it is, because she found the storage unit, right? The address. She knows exactly where this car is.
It wouldn't be in California.
That is another thing I was going to bring up. Yes. Why is it in California? Why is it in the town? I mean, we don't know where his dealership was, but...
It was New York, I thought.
I don't know. Why would it be in San Francisco unless he tried to get as far away from the East Coast as possible? But
maybe he tried to hide it on his uncle even. Maybe that's why he needed the $5 million to fucking fix it or get a new one.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's... Anyway, he's like, I needs a car. I needs a car. She's like, I know where the red Koenigsegg is. So he takes it and shit's on now.
Dude, yeah, and he gets there. He's like, didn't even fucking fix the paint on it or anything.
No, left that mark that killed Pete still on the Koenigsegg. Yeah, why wouldn't he try to hide the evidence? Or why would you leave it? Just paint it another color. Yeah. It's just as legal. And then you can be like, oh, yeah, I got a new one. Isn't it crazy? I got the same car that killed my future brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Weird, right?
And then, yeah, he says something here like, yeah, some people just don't think they'll ever get caught, man.
So Toby goes to the hospital to see Julia. She's pretty jacked up. She has a broken arm. He tells Julia that he found a car, and she's like, "Do I want to know where you got it?" He's like, "No." And yeah, and she's like, or he says, "This is for Pete," or whatever. It's for Pete. We go to the next day. The race is gonna go.
Well, don't they actually they kiss here? It's like, oh, this is for Pete.
Oh, and then they kiss, and then she like falls asleep. So it's not like a real moment. Right. It's like, oh, did she pass? Oh, she's probably on a lot of drugs.
This is weird. Am I taking advantage of her right now?
Yeah, this is weird. This is not. I didn't earn that one. I didn't get a kiss back.
Yeah, it was very strange.
But maybe she wasn't ready to. It's okay. So the next day, everyone's already at the starting point, getting ready. Toby shows up late for some reason in the Koenigsegg.
Yeah, right. He had a night to sleep.
He was late. I don't know why he was late, but he shows up in a red Koenigsegg, and Monarch says, maybe that little tart was right about the 3 Koenigsegg's.
Why'd you call her a tart? Like,
'cause she was British, I think.
Oh,
right?
yeah, she was.
Maybe.
But still.
It was a little over the line, but the guy who runs an illegal street race that kills people is probably a scumbag. So,
yeah, fair enough.
Toby walks up to Dino's car, fucking ring on the window, cop style.
That was nice.
Clink, clink, clink. And he rolls down the window, and Toby just throws him Anita's ring. And he's like, you like the car back there? And then Dino just looks at him and he just walks away. Doesn't wait for a response.
The cops will.
Oh, does he say the cops will?
Yeah. I was like, the cops aren't going to give shit, dude.
No. Like, if there's no proof Dino owns it, wouldn't Dino just say, yeah, that was his car. He did it. Look at him. I didn't. It's not my car. Prove it's my car.
Yeah, true.
They couldn't do it the first time.
No, he got out of jail and he went and got his other car.
Which also, we'll get to that too at the end of the race. But also I noticed at this moment, at some point in prison, Toby must have got a Pete tattoo because you can see it on his wrist.
Yeah, I saw that too. And I was like, that's pretty good for a prison tattoo.
Yeah, it sure is. And it was, I didn't notice it until this point.
Yeah, I don't think it showed up. Maybe he did it. Maybe that's why he was late.
Maybe. No. He was getting the Pete tattoo. It could be. I don't know.
Yeah, who the fuck knows?
But anyway, the race starts and we're off. I did find a funny piece of trivia. The cars are all going like over 200 miles an hour.
Right.
And with those cars and their performance tuning and the fact that, these are made to be street cars, you don't drive 270.
Mm-hmm.
So all of them, like, even if they all had full tanks of gas, they would not have lasted more than 10 minutes going at that speed.
Oh.
They would have burned all the gas, which I thought was fascinating.
Interesting. I did notice
They're
here
not
that
they're not race cars,
Yeah. But the cop voice from the chopper pilot, the cop voice who's like, they're rolling out what do they call it? A rolling stop or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The spike strips that was the voice from the video game.
Oh, was it? That was fun. I didn't pick that up.
It sounded exactly like it. Yeah.
It sounded so cop. It was like the most cop voice I've ever heard.
Right.
But the race starts going out pretty normal. Cops get involved. The police, or two of the drivers get knocked out in a police blocking maneuver where the police also get, like, people are fucking dead.
Yeah,
there's no way these people are alive.
the rolling block. I'm like, all right, first off, these cops had a fucking helicopter at the starting line. So they knew.
Yeah, they were ready.
They knew where it was.
Which, again, I don't understand why the cops, like, none of this makes sense. If these people have this money, they could go on a testing track and do this race there. Why do they do it on streets where they almost hit a fucking school bus? That was part of this, too.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I don't know, it's kind of why a reason why the movie didn't exactly work for me. It's because you're trying to marry the video game universe, which is a video game, and these cars that are driving by that you're hitting and running into, like, just disappear and there's no carnage and it's just little video game roadblocks. But if you're doing it in our world, there's people and families.
Yeah, and you're trying to make us feel sympathy for other people dying or getting hurt or anything.
Yeah, like the whole movie revolves around the sympathy of the kid dying. And, well, you saw like 30 more people die in this movie after that. No one gives a shit.
We're supposed to feel bad because Julia has a broken arm and is beat up. What about those other people?
Yeah. What do you think happened? They're in PT for another 8 months.
Yeah, we saw
Still,
cars
to this day. It's been
head-on collide because dipshit was driving in the other lane on a highway.
unbelievable. Anyway, we'll get through this pretty quick. It was a cool racing sequence. I will say it is very cool. Toby was in first, some randos in second, Dino's in third, and then Dino pulls a pit maneuver and takes out the second car.
Dude.
Very similar to how the Pete situation went. So now it's like a redo.
I saw that and I was like, fucking really? Is that all you have, Dino?
I just wrote classic Dino in my notes. And then, it's just them. And Dino gets behind Toby's car. He's about to flip him. But essentially, Toby does a maneuver which takes a turn a little wide, basically to let Dino, give him a window, let him pass.
Yeah.
Because he knows that Dino's just going to ram him. Like he did it twice
how
now.
Dino rolls, man.
Exactly. So he's like, no, not doing that. So Toby then gets next to Dino. They're like neck and neck. Dino tries to snap over, like take him out. And Toby breaks and Dino takes himself out. Which is nuts. Like, I'm not a race car driver. I know very little about driving cars very fast, but I know if you snap the wheel over going 260, it's fucking over.
Yeah.
Like, you're not.
Even if you hit them.
Whether you hit something or not.
Yeah, if you hit them, you both might go out.
Yeah, you're getting airborne. Like, that thing is going real fast. Anyway.
Yeah.
So he didn't die. Toby doesn't die. He evades this hit. Dino flips around. His car's on fire. He's upside down in it. Toby stops right by the finish line. You can see the lighthouse where the finish line is. It's right there.
Mm-hmm.
And he stops. And Monarch's like, what is he doing? Oh, my God. His whole crew is like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because for some reason, Benny has an iPad. They gave it to him in prison to watch this.
Oh, because he's a smooth talker, man.
He is. Oh, we'll give him that. And then Julia was watching on a laptop in the hospital. Anyway, so he goes back for Dino. He actually does pull up. He pulls him out of the thing and he's like, are you okay? And Dino's like, I'm fine. And then Toby immediately punches him in the face.
Who's recording this for the video?
I don't know. That's a great question. Because how would they see any of this? Except they just see like
they just see the dots on the map.
Right. They have this constant like overhead map dot situation, which, put a tracker in the car. Sure, I'll buy that. Why not?
Yeah, it's like when you go to Google for the NFL play-by-play, it's just dots on this
Exactly.
thing.
Good analogy.
Right?
But anyway, he punches him, leaves him there. He heads to the finish line. He gets to the lighthouse. He wins the De Leon. He's right next to the lighthouse. He looks up at it. It's just like Pete said it would be.
It was.
And then, of course, Toby and Dino, obviously the cops show up and arrest them. Like, what did you think was going to happen? They both get arrested.
They arrest all the people in the race, apparently.
Well, they all, got like 75 dangerous driving charges in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. A few months in jail to prove your innocence. Was it worth it?
Yeah, Monarch mentions, he's like, hey, and now we're hearing that the red Koenigsegg's did belong to Dino. Which how? How did he hear that just now on the radio? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, seeing as how Julia has a direct line to him, maybe she called him up.
Yeah, maybe she called him. See, like, there it is. See, Dick.
Told you.
But so that's the end of the race, and we flash forward 178 days later.
6
where Toby's
months, right?
getting out of jail. 30 divided by 5 months. 5 times 3 is 5 times 3.
Yeah, 6
5
months.
times.
6 times 30 is about
Oh my God!
80.
6 times 30 is 180. You're right. Correct. Jesus. But anyway, it's implied here that Toby did time for illegal street racing, but he didn't get hit with all the stuff from Pete's death.
He didn't get skipping parole, leaving the state. Those are fucking way worse.
Well, here's my question too, and I don't know the law as well as others, but if he would he count as time served? But I guess you're not
this is a
time
new
served if you
crime.
commit new crimes.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I guess that'd be silly. But he eventually, I guess what we're trying, he got like reckless drivings, he got tickets, he got driving an unregistered car, probably. It was ended up being 6 months in jail, and his priors basically went away. I guess that's what we're supposed to get from this.
Yeah, which that would never happen.
No. So whatever. I guess Toby gets out of jail. It's 6 months later.
Well, unless he got the $5 million and bought a nice lawyer.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And then they're like, hey, we got to head to Utah, get Benny out of jail. He's being released for good behavior. And that's it. That's the end of the movie, I guess.
I love
They go to Utah.
in the credits. Did you see the credits where Cuddy's doing like a
Oh,
community dance class in the jail?
Yeah, they're like, he's being released for good behavior. Apparently, he set up some workout dance class or something, and they just mentioned it.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends, and I was like, whatever, that's cute. That's Benny. I wish I had a Benny in my life. He seems so positive
real.
and happy. And then they showed it. They showed him in prison teaching people how to dance and work out. It was kind of funny. I'm fine with it, actually.
Yeah, I really liked how they added that on. Made it worth it.
But that's it. That's the movie. Again, the only really drawbacks I have is I don't really fully buy the relationship with Julia and Toby.
No. And plus, after all that, if you trauma bonded and everything, and she still stuck around for 6 months while he was in jail.
Yeah, that's wow.
And was hanging
But you
out with the
gotta
crew,
think-
his crew and shit.
Yeah, she knows him and they're all like tight now. There had to be like an awkward conversation like, hey, I'm Joe. I don't know if we've had more than 2 conversations.
But
Are you guys like a thing? Do we have to take care of you? Like, what's the deal? What do we have to do here?
right?
Are we best friends? Toby's our boy and he's your boy, right?
And
It's so
and
confusing.
then Finn's like,
It's so
well,
weird.
he did tell me to make sure she's okay.
Man, it was, I buy maybe in the situation like the kiss and them getting some chemistry. I mean, they're both extremely attractive people. They've been stuck in a confined space for 45 hours. So
Yeah.
if there was some sparks, like that's just going to help it.
Yeah, exactly. There were sparks from the beginning. They both like cars, but he was very condescending and a dick in the beginning.
He sure was.
And she just came around like, oh, yeah, he's great.
Maybe she's just seen this fucking car guy so many times.
And there was
You know
that
what I mean?
scene where she's like sleeping in the car and he gets the call from Joe
Mhm.
about like what actually happened that day. And she gets like, oh shit. So it is true that you didn't kill him, blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
And what does that say? Like, even if say he did kill him, they still gave him the Mustang to win the De Leon? Why not? Like, this is a crazy world of criminals I don't understand.
Yeah. And for $3 million, here's a $3 million bet that I can get $6 million worth of cars back. And you might not destroy. Oh, you already destroyed my fucking Mustang.
Yeah, none of this makes a lot of sense.
And then she picks him up in a red Shelby Mustang, which made me think that that's why it was the anniversary edition, because it was a normal one. It wasn't the same one.
Yeah, I remember reading that that was the new model for that year.
Yeah. Because the one that he was driving the whole time had those stupid fucking side view mirrors that were just cameras that shot up on your fucking windshield. It annoyed me.
Man, that must have been so future. Well, they tried to make it more video gamey.
Yeah, but it annoyed me the whole time, because then when she pulls up to get him, she has a real one with actual side view mirrors. And I was like, oh, okay.
I did not notice that. Well, I knew they were different cars,
Yeah.
but they look like Mustangs. The only other, I don't get this universe. I've said it a bunch of times, but it doesn't make sense that these rich people would have these cars and sacrifice their lives to get more of those cars. They'd probably, if they made $4 million to get one, they probably can get another 3 together to get another one. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense.
I think it's more of like a junkie thing. Like they're looking for the thrill of the race.
But why is it
Like gamblers who have
are,
fucking millions of dollars, they'll still blow millions of dollars on a stupid bet just for the thrill.
So you think it's more like, how do I put this?
An addiction, yes.
Well,
They all have
yes, an
problems.
addiction. But imagine someone had a camera for an internet show on those crazy ass gamblers. I bet people would watch it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they would.
They made this whole documentary about this guy who took out every single. He was like living in London, I think, maybe England somewhere, and he took out every penny he had, sold everything, got up to like 130,000, went to Vegas and bet it all on red and won.
Oh, good for him.
I know, right? And then he just walked away.
Like,
He said it was like an urge, like a need, like he had to do it. So
yeah, it's called an addiction. I'm sure he didn't stop after that.
Yeah, if you hear a voice that's very vivid in your head saying to do something and it's not your conscious brain, you need to talk to someone.
Yeah, no, that's wild, man.
It shouldn't be like, I sometimes get strong feelings. It's no, I hear other people.
I knew a guy who was addicted to gambling, and I was like, why? Like, you take your paycheck, you go bet on fucking football games, and the next week you're broke again. I'm like, do you ever win? Like, what is that?
Yeah, I never, the only time I ever gambled, I gambled on sports when I was in college, but that was also because I lived in a house of people who were obsessed with football. So we were all like putting in real time.
Doing research.
Researching football, yeah, and teams and histories and players and stuff. And just, I was like, this is awesome. I get it. I feel the rush, but I'm not going to just randomly be like, I'm putting $50 on the game today. Like there's research and stuff you need to do.
Yeah.
To give yourself better odds. And I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore, so I'm just not going to bet. Because it's just going to be throwing money away.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I ever gambled, I used to play online poker back in the day. But that's like, you're playing against other people, and you're winning a couple bucks here and there. It's not like a big thrill, but
yeah,
I really don't see how people get addicted to it. But I mean, that's the way it works.
Yeah, for sure. But it's
that's what I'm saying. Like, these people are addicted to the gambling aspect as well as the thrill of the race.
I get it, and that makes sense to me, but it doesn't make sense to me that there's enough people to do that every year.
There's only like 6 though. Plus one of them.
What if this is a thing
won.
that actually does happen, and we aren't cool enough in the car community, so we don't know about it?
Well, there's one fucking like crazy motorcycle race on the Isle of Man, I want to say. I don't remember what island. I'm just throwing that out there, but it's like a disgustingly technical race, and people die every fucking year.
That's nuts.
I don't know if it's every year, but the people die a lot doing it.
Too much.
Yeah. And
More
then
than
people are always signing up to do it. It's always like full. They're always fucking doing it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, maybe I'm just not in tune with the crazy people in that community.
Yeah. I don't know.
Possible.
It's like people who fucking skydive and shit too, right? It's a thrill. It's an adrenaline rush.
I just don't get it. And plus, like, you're driving 260, you hit a pothole. That's it.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
So you're trusting state-run roads to be pothole-free? This is not made by an American.
No.
I'll tell you that.
I hope the Monarch did his research when he fucking put the race
Yeah, I
down.
know. Only asphalt that's been laid down in the last 2 months.
And does it always end at a lighthouse, or was Pete actually having a vision?
That's the thing. That's the thing. Was he having a vision? I don't know. But what his vision did come true.
Yeah, interesting.
So what do you think? Final thoughts. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Recommend, not recommend?
I did like it. It's a little past the slap pocket at fucking 2 hours, 10 minutes.
It is a little long. Yeah.
A little unnecessary, but that's mostly because of the race scenes. But the interactions with the actors, they were great. I mean, all the actors were charming, good. If it wasn't for the actors, if this was like a whole bunch of nobodies, it would have sucked shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you there.
If it was Fast and Furious doing this, I would have hated it. But these guys, they're all really good actors, and I don't know, it was charming in a way. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I enjoyed it. I thought the actors were fantastic. They were charming. They were fun to watch. It was a fun universe.
Right.
The stakes and stuff didn't make sense to me, but they all bought into it. So you can't fault them for that. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but I think if you like cars, then this will scratch an itch.
Yeah, I don't even really
sure.
like cars, but I had a good time watching it.
Yeah, I remember I definitely did a mini-sode about this years ago.
Oh yeah, nice.
And when we were talking and we were going to rewatch it for this, I was thinking back, and I remembered the end of Toby winning. I completely forgot about Pete because he dies so early in the movie. I forgot about him.
You forget that's the whole motivation.
That's the catalyst to it. Yeah, and I remember Rami Malek being in it because I was a big fan of his from the Pacific.
Oh, and Mr. Robot, right?
Yeah, Mr. Robot broke like right after this.
Yeah.
So he got big since this movie, but he's always been great. Anyway, Would I recommend, if you like cars, sure. If you like action movies, why not? If you like just seeing charming people be charming, it's fun.
Yeah, it's a good dumb
Everyone
movie.
buys into it. Dino's a great villain.
Yeah,
Like,
it really is.
so sure, check it
Yeah.
out.
Would I recommend it? Not as a great movie, but yeah, as an entertaining watch. If you got 2 hours to kill and you don't feel like looking for something, yeah, put it on.
There you go. That's our final thoughts. Do you have anything else you want to say, or should we wrap this up?
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. We talked to these people long enough.
That's a good point. Well, if they, had more thoughts for us or were mad that we didn't talk about the cars as much, where could they send those emails to, Sir Chump Slap?
Well, send those to plottytime@gmail.com, and I'll reiterate the fact that we're not car guys.
And if they want to get to us faster on the socials, how would they do that?
Well, you go to Reddit or Blue
Right.
Sky. I think we have a Blue Sky.
We sure do.
We don't have that other garbage, but we do have Reddit and Blue Sky. So
Yeah, those are the ones we're going to respond on. So go get us there.
Yeah.
And you can go to YouTube, subscribe, really helps us out. But anyway, that does it for me and Chump Slap. So as always, shout out to Sandman, Drago, the Slago Gamers, Little Playground, I Am Panics, and Luis Guzman. Trust all real scientists, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.
peace.